Hello, neighbor. Are you still talking about the Epstein list? Good. So are we. Are you doing anything about it? I like to think of this as humanity's last exam.
Way down deep inside, you feel the end coming closer and closer. Isn't that wonderful? What a joy.
Hey, anybody order pizza?
Give me my baby joy.
These entities operating in the astral dimension, they've been interacting with humans through satanic rituals and human sacrifice rituals all the way through what we call human history, because the aging process is non-existent in the astral. And they're still doing it today. And that's what these rich and famous Satanists, major players in this cult, are doing. They're interacting with these entities. And it's been described to me by Satanists around the world how in the major rituals they have seen entities appear through the energetic field.
This material is classified top secret. You have been granted access to a highly classified and experimental government initiative. Proceed with caution, for the full scope of its potential applications remains uncertain. You have been selected to take part in the Binaural Cognitive Enhancement Program. This is a restricted, classified research initiative exploring the mind-expanding potential of the Human Resonance Communication System.
As a 742-year-old alien in the body of a 34-year-old millennial woman here in New England, I've been going through it, and I know that you all have too, in a different way. But a lot of you had questions about how is it possible? Well, I thought I'd go into a little more detail to share, for those who don't know. So I'm from planet Coark, and I've been reporting all over the cosmos. I cover the Milky Way. And so here I am on Earth at this time of great change to share with the rest of the cosmos everything that's going on and all of the wild things that you humans are up to. Right now,
according to our records, Templar records, Mary Magdalene was married to John the Baptist prior to Jesus, and that they had children. And when John the Baptist died, when he was killed, Jesus then took on the responsibilities of John the Baptist.
Because John was the earlier Messiah.
Right, exactly. Why would that be?
The natural face of a cherub is the face of an ox. Therefore, you'd expect when Satan was a cherub, and he had an ox's face. So when Satan sinned, he now seeks worship. What form of worship does he like? He likes the image of an ox. So that's why the children of Israel were provoked to create a golden calf. They're worshiping Satan. That's why in India today, the cow is sacred. That's why in Greece, Athens, Rome, the beast, the bull, was sacred and honored and worshipped. And throughout the world even today, the cow is honored and exalted to place of deity. When you go to the Old Testament, you read about Baal worship. Baal was worshipped in the form of a bull. And so, therefore Satan loves the image of the ox, loves to be worshipped in that manner.
How do I know that Jesus Christ... Now, you could sit here saying, oh, no. Jesus was saying, Jesus is the way. He wasn't meaning the I am is the way. That which is me, the center part of the mind is the way. He meant Jesus is the way. Here's how I can prove that he wasn't talking about himself. What does Jesus say? I can of my own self do nothing. So how could he be the way if he can't do anything? The man's telling you. Jesus is telling you. Jesus is speaking. He says the way is I am. The way is me. The inner way. The conscious way. The single eye way. The take no thought way. The narrow way. It is not a man because he says I can't do anything. And he says the same thing that Krishna said. I am is the way. Me is the way. Krishna would talk to you in the Bhagavad Gita and say, worship me, honor me, recognize me, know me, pray into me. He's talking about yourself. Because Krishna said in the last time we talked about the Bhagavad Gita, me, which is thine own self. That's what Jesus was talking about.
Gnosis is an ancient word for a very specific kind of knowledge. It means knowing something, not because you were told, but because you came to understand it yourself. In early spiritual traditions, this kind of knowledge was called hidden. not because it was secret, but because it couldn't be passed on directly. You could study symbols, texts, and teachings, but gnosis appeared only when understanding became something you could recognize as your own. That's also why gnosis often shows up when you begin noticing connections between things that are usually kept separate, like astrology and psychology, symbols and behavior, inner patterns and lived experience, not as beliefs to adopt, but as different languages pointing to the same structure. That's why gnosis was valued differently from information, not as something to believe, but as something that changes how you see. If this way of understanding feels familiar, pause for a moment and notice where you've already experienced it.
You will see Moses in pictures, in paintings, in sculptures. Moses has horns. It's interesting to understand what the horns represent on Moses. The horns of Moses, and you will see that there was in the ancient world, at Moses' time, in that ancient time, there was a moon god, and the moon god's name was Sin, and he was always represented by the lower quarter of the moon. Moon god Sin in the mountain, Ai, and put it together and becomes Sinai. So Mount Sinai is actually, the moon god Sin in the mountain of Sinai. Mount Sinai itself was understood to be a volcano. And this is why when Moses goes up into the Mount Sinai to get the new 10 Commandments from God, he is confronted by the mountain is on fire. God gave to the Hebrew people a manna to eat, and it was spelled M-A-N-N-A, manna. Manna is actually in Hebrew means, what is it? We now know that what we were talking about was mushrooms. Moses was high on drugs, Israeli researcher writes. So he was the one that was introducing the use of magic mushrooms to the Jewish community.
So if I ever shave my face again, you'll know.
Lifting.
It's not our world.
None of this is real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Then I watched everybody talking 1,000 miles an hour up there receiving their awards, and I was like, I'm dead.
Want to write a letter to President Clinton? Would he answer us? I bet he would.
I bet he would too.
What was acceptable in common behavior years ago can now be sexual harassment.
It smells like vagina in here.
Jesus Christ.
They eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood. They do it. They say you can't wake people up that are pretending to be asleep, but I pray to God, please wake up even those who are pretending to be asleep with the irrefutable truth of what the worst people on this planet are really up to. They are really up to that. They're doing it. There are so many victims.
There's no point of working anymore. Why would you work a job and still stay poor? Why would you work a job and help society when the people that are running the fucking show are a bunch of evil motherfuckers, bro?
The songs you sing out loud actually manifest. Not because of magic words, but because you're literally vibrating the energy of that song into your reality. When you belt out, "I'm broke, but it's okay," you're broadcasting lack and chill acceptance. When you sing, "I'm living my best life," you're tuning your frequency to abundance and joy. Your voice is your most powerful instrument.
Pledge allegiance
to Israel, not the United States of America,
and to the Joes which are chosen.
We will fight their war, invade Iran, and be a good goy forever and ever. Shalom.
Okay, now pull out Anne's diary and turn to page 109.
Congratulations. You've been hired by the archives against your will. We're very excited. Welcome to the archives. Please remain calm. Panic creates duplicates. Wear your badge at all times. If it displays
Hello, neighbor.
Do you come to Milwaukee often?
Actually, it's pronounced Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land. I think one of the most interesting aspects of Milwaukee is the fact that it's the only major American city to have ever elected 3 socialist mayors.
Does this guy know how to party or what?
You heard it here first.
You're listening to The Rundown Live with Kriston Harris and Mike Pacheski. The destroyer of fake news.
Is that who I think it is?
Yep, sure is. Did you hear he ditched the man cave and brought back the study?
That's so sexy. I love it when a man is educated and informed.
He is so dreamy. Always reading books and investigating history.
Where do you think he works out?
The library.
He is so controversial, always talking about 9/11 being an inside job, the police state, constitutional rights, ancient history, government cover-ups, and how he thinks sports don't matter in real life.
Oh, I love a freethinker who searches for truth. I love it when he feeds my brain. What's his name? Kriston T. Harris.
And because of this administration, we are tonight a world divided. We are a nation becalmed. We have lost the brisk pace of diversity and the genius of individual creativity. We are plodding along at a pace set by centralized planning, red tape, rules without responsibility, and regimentation without recourse.
Madam Speaker, I have a few questions for my colleagues. What if our foreign policy of the past century is deeply flawed and has not served our national security interests? What if we wake up one day and realize that the terrorist threat is a predictable consequence of our meddling in the affairs of others and has nothing to do with us being free and prosperous?
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan.
Promise of being one of the most effective treatments for AIDS and cancer in history. Now it's gone, and one of the most respected research facilities in the country is being blamed.
Participation in a process that validates an establishment that never meaningfully changes. What if that establishment doesn't want and doesn't have the consent of the governed? What if the two-party system was actually a mechanism used to limit so-called public opinion? What if there were more than two sides to every issue, but the two parties wanted to box you into a corner, one of their corners?
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of The Rundown Live, Kriston T. Harris.
Good morning. It is March 2nd. It's a Monday here at the Rundown Live out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and you're listening to us being broadcast right now on GroundZeroPlus.com. Would love for you guys to smash that like button, get in the chat, and follow if you've never watched this program before. We've been around for 15, 20 years. We've survived the surveillance. We've survived the censorship. And we've broken through in the matrix where we're starting to impact society once again as the algorithms seem to be clamping down on the Epstein files. It's crazy what's going on in this world all around us. Make sure you check us out if you want to get into the social media aspect of things. We're live on Rumble, Facebook, Twitter, x.com/Kriston T. Harris, or you could search The Rundown Live on just about any platform, and we seem to be there. But Ground Zero Plus is where it's at, and for your social media needs, fringeit.co. Join the revolution today on social media and really dive into media meeting new people who are like-minded in the new social media for the tinfoil hat community. Remember when the tinfoil hat thing was a bad thing? At one time, we actually wrote Reynolds Wrap to see if they would sponsor this broadcast, but Ground Zero Plus is where we're at. You can find us on apps if you want to listen to this broadcast or our station live. Our station is called On Air Disclosure Talk Radio. So go find it in the Google Play Store, iTunes Store, On Air Disclosure Talk Radio, Ground Zero Plus. You get home to Clyde Lewis, Monster there. Ryan Gable's on there. I heard Ryder Lee is joining us. We have a lot. It's like a great lineup. You guys get the news from me, and then you guys get the esoteric, creepy stuff at night. Speaking of creepy stuff, you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but last week we had Elisa E on, and we talked about MKUltra and trafficking, and I asked her, would they really be eating babies? And she's like, yeah, they're eating babies. I'm like, whoa, MKUltra Survivor. Very interesting show. Check it out. It's available on rumble.com, the Rundown Live. We also had other great guests. We have many great guests this week, so there's a lot to cover today and dive into. But first things first, everyone is talking about what right now? Everyone's talking about Iran. Where did you Iran to? Well, you're Iraning away from the Epstein files. That's really where everyone is trying to get you, is away from the Epstein files. You guys remember whenever Slick Willie, a.k.a., Bubba, a.k.a. Bill Clinton, would get his little Willie, oil well Willie, drained by Monica Lewinsky, the humidor, he would bomb someplace. And it seems like Donald Trump has been struggling shaking these Epstein files. And I want you guys to think about why that is. Why? Because he's in it. And obviously there was a very interesting email, because last night I spent hours sifting through the Epstein files, and I got some new ones for you guys about vampirism. There's like a whole presentation at HeadCon about is it vegan vampirism if you just drink the blood of animals? I mean, like, okay, what's on the menu at the bar? Can I have an animal blood mixture with the whiskey, or like do they have like different types of animal blood? Do some elitists prefer cow animal blood, cat animal blood, or artificial human blood that they make synthetically in a lab somewhere? I don't know, but we got a lot of questions, and we're gonna need some answers today. We're gonna dive into it. Would love to see you guys in the chat. Dan, what's up in the chat? Welcome to the broadcast on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. Knight, what's up? Welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for watching on YouTube as well. Our YouTube has been blowing up ever since. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but I had to reach out to some, it was dumb luck, right? I was doing some side gig work, and I ended up picking up one of the very important people from YouTube's wife. And I took her to a concert because I was doing some Uber at the time. And I was like, I'm censored on YouTube. Can you help a brother out? She's like, I know just the man. He can get you your channel back. Matt, wrong. He's like, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with your channel, but they won't give it to you back. It's probably because I pissed off Isabel Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, by drilling her at the trial for 5 weeks every night, hitting her up about Bilderberg and the World Economic Forum. Now I realize when I talked about synthetic biology and cloning, that might be what did it. That might be what got her to take my photograph on video. If you've not seen the videos, they're out there, of her taking her phone out and just taking photos of me, and she's like, ah. And the next day while I'm at the trial, somebody breaks into my Airbnb and steals my laptop. Real thing. Alex Jones was talking about it. He's like, the journalist at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial had his laptop stolen. And I'm like, yeah, I did. That sucked. I don't know who did it. Could have been a homeless dude. That's how they do it. They hire some guy that normally wouldn't do it, and he comes in, breaks it, and steals your laptop. But nonetheless, YouTube is growing. So thank you guys, Facebook, Rumble. I see that we have people on Rumble. Drop some comments in the chat, and we're going to be getting into some interesting stories. But I keep hearing these stories about elite eating babies. It's no big deal. That's what they do. And now we got war with Iran. Why? Because nobody wants to talk about the elite eating babies. Well, I do. Check this out. This is a interview with Max Lowen. Real quick, I want you guys to hear what she has to say. This is the third or fourth, the fifth person that's coming. We had Roseanne Barr. We had the guy who worked with Quentin Tarantino on Joe Rogan. We had Elisa E. We had Kathy O'Brien. Now we got Max Lowen.
Some of the rituals, it's called SRA, I don't want to say the actual words, involved taking me out to different parties Some were in very beautiful mansions, so they would be kind of black tie balls. If you ever saw Eyes Wide Shut, that kind of thing, except what they didn't show in the movie is the children that were brought in as party favors. Sometimes they would be on grounds at these different beautiful mansions where there were woods, and they were hunting parties. So we would be dressed up in certain costumes or naked or something and sent to hide and then be hunted. There would always be a child or maybe more than one unalived at the end of this. And actually, these people, I have seen cooked babies brought out on platters. They do eat human flesh. They do drink human blood. And sometimes the rituals would also be outdoors. So there would be like a gang violation ritual with a bonfire where I was drugged so that I was fully conscious but couldn't move my body at all, even my mouth. I couldn't even scream. Some of the rituals, it's called SRA. I don't want to say the actual words.
SRA stands for Satanic Ritual Abuse. MKUltra. Satanic Ritual Abuse. Now, why I'm shook up right now is everything she mentioned just about is in a song. It's in a song. We played it on the show, and it's by a person who died by falling off his second-story balcony. Trevor Moore, who I've met in real life. I got pictures to back it up. We shared some of my stuff. We've communicated. I actually hooked him up with the Illuminati card game. He was really excited when he came to Milwaukee. We've had Timmy Williams from the Whitest Kids You Know on this program. And the lyrics to the song Help Me by Trevor Moore. Did you guys just hear what she said? They would hunt us and somebody would be unalive. That's the cool way of saying dead now. But I want to share with you guys the lyrics of Help Me from Drunk Text to Myself by Trevor Moore. And Trevor Moore was a conspiracy theorist who would, in his music, permeate the truth. He was clever, highly smart. And I want you guys to hear, I would like to play the song, but we'll send a link. Somebody could drop the link in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and drop them right here on the screen, and I'm going to put them on here. And I want you guys to think about this. How is it that Trevor Moore, he had this knowledge? Well, he must have talked to people in Hollywood. Trevor Moore was the Hollywood type. He lived in California, I believe, and he's a pastor's kid. He grew up with the same shitty Christian movies I did, where it looked like somebody made them in their basement, and they made they colored a sock and they tied it to a pole and they called it a snake in the garden. And your parents are buying the DVDs so that you can learn good Christian, values. And of course, there was somebody in their basement trying to sell it to the church to make money, and you want to support, those people. So that's what it is. But here it is. And when we look at what it says, I'm going to read you these lyrics right now. It says, let's see. Here you go. Help me. My parents sold me to a big producer in the record industry. He makes me do things that I don't want to do. Please call child services or maybe SVU. You got to help me. My parents sold me to a big producer in the music industry. They took the cash and left me, the screaming masses, and I'd know all that. I'd skip those dancing classes. Hold on. He talks about, where is it? He said they'll hunt me down for sport. Where is that? Let's see. Can't handle any more rich kids' bar mitzvahs, Saudi princes. Let's see. Here you go. Okay. They sprayed me with the hose in a pit for 3 days, and when my sales drop off, they'll take me to a resort and let the rich businessmen hunt me down for sport. Hunt me down for sport. Yeah. Trevor Moore prophetically and continuously dropping truth bombs in his music past his death. The late, great Trevor Moore, one of the funniest people I know because I can relate to growing up in a Christian home with really weird movies and such. But yeah, there it is. I'm talking about hunting down children at hunting parties when they're done with them. So there's a lot to talk about here. There is a lot to unpack. I've been using AI more and more, but right now, 2026, specific prophecies and resets. This is the year for resets. I want you guys to think about all the great resets. Now they're talking UFO disclosure. Why? They're trying to get away from the Epstein files. Oh, now we're attacking Iran. Why? Because they want to get away from the Epstein files. I want you guys to hear what Owen Schroyer, who used to have me on his program all the time when he was on InfoWars, has to say. I want you guys to get some different perspective on this. But Trevor Moore nailing it again with, hunting parties like Max Lowen said there in her video, right? She was talking about, they had hunting parties and somebody would be unalived. Unalived! That's exactly what we've been reading. That's exactly what we've been talking about. That's exactly what Trevor Moore has been saying in his songs, to leak the truth, permeate the truth, plant the seeds in the garden of your mind so you can grow ideas that this crazy shit happens in the real world. And the problem is, if the evil that we call Baal or Moloch or whatever it is, that I call it the devil, is real, does that mean the antithesis, and that there is a God and that there is good out there and there is a creator? Is that real as well? These are some philosophical conversations we need to deal with in the inside. But here is Owen Schroyer talking about the disappointment of Trump. And I can tell you right now, in these Epstein files, there's conversations with these elites saying, Donald Trump is a loose cannon. If he's going down, he will take the whole ship down with him. And what is he doing? He's taking the whole ship down. No, the public don't like him. He's saying, fuck the public. We're going to go give the multinational corporates what they want. Who cares? The Republicans are going to lose in Texas. They're going to lose everywhere because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right, left, or owned by the same two people. So why not try to be a king? And I can tell you, I voted for Trump, and I'm very disappointed in the fact that we're in Iran. No need, really, to be over there. None. Oh, except we're gonna help our little buddies there. What is there? The Israel? Yeah, we can help Israel, and we can do all that fun stuff. Good old Israel. They love us so much, right? So much. Here we go.
So I want to try to make sense of what happened to no new wars in the Middle East, what happened to no regime change wars, what happened to no more dead soldiers in the Middle East, what happened to no more money spent, no more blood and treasure in the Middle East, President Trump that we saw for 3 election cycles. I want to address what I think happened, and I think the evidence is pretty clear that this is how it went down. The 2024 election was more about Donald Trump's ego than it was anything else. He wanted to win again. He couldn't stand going out a loser. He wanted to be president again, and he wanted to go out a winner. So he cut deals with the foreign interests and the special interests. Specifically, he cut deals with the Israeli lobby and the big tech lobby. So the big tech lobby is what put J.D. Vance as vice president, and the foreign lobby is what put Susie Wiles as his top advisor. So everybody knows that that's what happened. Susie Wiles, Netanyahu's former staffer, and J.D. Vance backed by all the big tech people. So, okay. So that was the deal. And they said, we will fund your campaign. We will drum up as much support for your campaign as you need. But here's what we're going to need from you. So they fund Trump's campaign. They get him into the White House. And now what are you saying? Trump is greenlighting all the AI surveillance. Trump is greenlighting all the data centers, quantum computing, you name it. That's what they're getting out of this. And then, of course, the Israeli lobby, they want the regime change war in Iran. That's their big thing. There'll be there's some other moves and shakeups in the Middle East, but that's their big one.
That's really breaking it down what's going on over there. But I have to say how convenient that these lobbyists get what they want. And we got like the J6ers released, and, we got the guy from the Silk Web let go, and Trump tried to do some things. But here we go. You got him like a wild animal back to the corner of the wall, and he's willing to take down the whole ship. And why not just buy into what the multinational corporatists and his homies said? Because now all of a sudden, all the trash on his homies is out there. The Epstein files. Like, there's rumors that Epstein was at like the 2016 or 2017 White House Thanksgiving dinner on the Epstein files. Like, how weird does this go? And before we end the show, if you guys stick around, I promise I will play the song by Trevor Moore, Help Me, so you guys can hear how prophetic it is. And what a coincidence that Trevor would know this stuff and be publishing it. But I want to talk a little bit about this subject before we dive into the whole aliens thing, because that's a sideshow. We got Iran's sideshow. And like Thomas Massey goes, I don't think the Epstein files are going away, but they're going to start getting desperate. And I can tell you, while these things and our attention is diverted, people are going to be threatened. They're buying time for these elitists to do whatever it is that they want. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull up this interesting Epstein speech he wants to go see, this convention. And they're telling him, he's having a conversation about what speakers are there, what is it that they're talking about. And there's this lady who is a philosopher. Her name is L.A. Paul. And L.A. Paul is a professor. And let's go ahead and put this on the screen for you guys. L.A. Paul is a professor. Let's see. Can we do the gigantic screen, guys? All right, let's see. We got Janet Paul's a professor, and she's really diving in, and she wants to talk about vampires. Why are you going to a convention where this person who's having a philosophical conversation about vampires if you're a billionaire? I want you guys to think about this for 1 second. Here it is. We're putting it on the screen. So here we have it. We'll go full screen for y'all. And we're going to blow it up on the screen. And we're going to do a little Hardy Boys work. L.A. Paul, the transformative experience, quote, we're going to pretend that modern day vampires don't drink blood of humans. They're vegetarian vampires. So first of all, there's real life vampires? I don't know. They're vegetarian vampires, which means they only drink the blood of humanely farmed animals. Oh, how humanely farmed. So you're going to, you start thinking about all these cattle mutilations. Maybe it's just not elite. Maybe it's just not aliens. It's the elite. They're going out, sawing down these cows, sucking them dry, and then using it and selling it on the black market. And then you have the real fanatics and the real riches that are pumping adrenochrome right into their fucking, veins, thinking it will give them extended life. It gives them that energy, that soul of the individual that they just suck the life out of. You have a one-time only chance to become a modern-day vampire. You think, this is pretty amazing opportunity. But do I want to gain immortality, amazing speed, strength, and power? Do I want to become undead, become an immortal monster, and have to drink blood? It's a tough call. Then you go around asking people for their advice, and you discover that all your friends and family members have already become vampires. They tell you it's amazing. It is the best thing ever. It's absolutely fabulous. It's incredible. You get these new sensory capabilities. You should definitely become a vampire. Then you say, can you tell me a little more about it? And they say, you have become a vampire. You have to become a vampire to know what it's like. Oh, you have to get the vaccine to be part of the cool kid club there. Until you're a vampire, you're just not going to know what it's going to be like. It sounds like somebody's trying to sell you drugs. Well, L.A. Paul is a professor at philosophy at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and a professional, professorial fellow in the Arch Research Center of the University of St. Andrews, Edge Bio. Edge is who hosts these HeadCon talks. Yeah. Well, that was the only thing I found that was interesting. I also found this really weird image in the FBI files. Why is the FBI interested in a movie series, or a book series, called Seduced by a Vampire Billionaire? Oh, it's a series. And, well, maybe Epstein owned the series. I wonder if this was on his bookshelf. I wonder if it's about Jeffrey Epstein. He's looking at going to conventions where they're talking about drinking animal bloods, being vegan vampires. We heard beef jerky, buckets of blood in the Epstein files that are black that he had to buy from China in order to store alleged blood that one victim or one girl that was recruited claimed that others were telling her about an adrenochrome and all the horrible things that they do. Of course she's not going to go with it. What do they do with the bad kids? They put them on an island and they hunt them for sport in their weird skull and bones Masonic garb. And somebody gets unalived. And they dress the kids up too in cute little costumes. It's going to be so much fun. Don't worry. Seduced by a billionaire vampire, Jeffrey Epstein's emails never seem to go out and disappoint. There's always something really weird. I found more references to torture. There's a lot. Jeffrey Epstein must have had a thing with like abusing people. Doing horrible things to people. You know, a guy who seems to be so smart hanging out with David Rockefeller, taking magnifying glasses and tying girls, spread eagle, tying them down and burning them with magnifying glasses. Oh, yeah, that's a cool thing to do. Let's go do that. Who does that? Who thinks that? Who wanted to admit that any of this was going on? I know the Christian churches have been preaching it at least since the 60s. John Todd and the Jesus movement, who ended up going to jail, and Elisa L. was like, yeah, John Todd was spot on with what's going on. Whatever happened to him? We got arrested, spent 30 years in jail for hooking up with 2 minor girls or something like that. And she's like, yep, that's how they get you. And then after he got out, they put him in a psych ward 3 years later, dead. I'm going to have to go back and listen to some of those old videos. And I'm not saying he's a good person, but he was spot on to what was going on, she said. MKUltra survivor. It's that occult. It's the Fritz Springmeier Illuminati formula. It's the people who have deprogrammed and reprogrammed people. But is Epstein a vampire? I don't know if Epstein's a vampire, but he's sure interested in HeadCon and L.A. Paul's conversation a little bit. There's a Mike McKillow did 2 cheers for falsification. Another speech. What I want to do today is raise 1 cheer for falsification, maybe 2 for falsification, maybe not philosophical falsificationism. I'm calling for maybe something more like methodological falsification. Oh, we're going to falsify methods. It has an important role to play in the theory development that maybe we have turned our backs on. Oh, so we're going to just falsify theories and let the people believe a bunch of bogus science while we harvest all these elite technologies for ourselves and have free energy and have the ability to live longer. But 2 cheers for falsification. Because what's the opposite of false? True. What is true? True is right. False is wrong. We've learned that since kids. Oh, but let's learn about falsification. Let's learn about lying with statistics. William Gates. I left my church when I saw a video of my pastor at Oak Creek, was it Assembly of God or whatever it's called, Discovery now, talk about, Bill Gates is a good man. Well, yeah, so he must be a Freemason just like the rest of them. The Masons. I'm not saying all Masons are bad. I'm just saying you're a little suspicious in some areas of the lodges. Can you believe that? Billionaire vampire. What are the odds I would drill that and find that? Here's another crazy one. This is Bitcoin using to be spied on victims of Jeffrey Epstein. This is something I should have put in the title, and I figured it was interesting. One of the victims that actually called into the law enforcement, local New York Police Department, had this to say about Epstein. And we're going to blow this way up for you guys. Thanks, Wendy. We'll forward to the FBI per our practice in the case of passing along all civilian communications regarding Epstein. Does she realize that her name is on the email address? Ho-hum. Crystal Gainey, Crypto Operation Control, is her email at gmail.com. I have information on Jeffrey Epstein's case. It has been known several women in our area have been drugged, taken to an unknown location for days at a time. These women are willing to testify, Pam Bondi. Want you to think about it. Willing to testify what happened to them. I'm extremely reluctant to tell you my person experience. However, at the blessed age of 41, I brought my 2-year-old into this world. My world became estranged in 2013. These life events would unravel a world onto corruption that only pure, honest, accurate data could solve. And then it's a whole bunch of blacked out shit. Then it says Jeffrey Epstein used Bitcoin spyware to monitor the victims of his trafficking ring. I wonder how that's possible. Jeffrey Epstein used Bitcoin spyware to monitor victims of his trafficking ring. That's the new hit. These devices will prove to be unsafe, unregulated, and very profitable on the stock exchange. Epstein used a program similar to the Watergate scandal spy technology to launder money directly from the Federal Reserve. Oh, look it. The Federal Reserve is involved. These so-called minors or minors are his soon-to-be victims. Oh, look at that. Look at the undercover, minors, your mining system. Oh, minors is underage girls. Oh, look at the puzzle. The Federal Reserve is laundering money or sending money to Jeffrey Epstein. Who runs the Federal Reserve? Oh, the banker families. Which banker families? The ones that aren't Jewish, that say they're Jewish and haven't done everything from aid Hitler and betray their own kind in order to get money and power. And that's in these emails too. You can look it up. The Rothschild from France, where she's like, yeah, our family, Epstein family, planned and aided Hitler, and we did benefit from the whole Holocaust. And by the way, what's the definition of Holocaust? Do you know what a Holocaust is? It's a sacrifice. That's what the meaning is. Look it up. It's a sacrifice. Who were they sacrificing and burning these Jews to? Well, who do you burn people to? Play ball. Baseball. That's why you play on a square and compass at a baseball field. That's why it's football and basketball and why I fucking love hockey. His attempt to create a perfect race could have started with my daughter during the horrible night. I remember bits and pieces. This all started 5 years ago upon someone revealing I was the child from execution during the Argentina Dirty War. I would embark on a journey into a world of corruption, deceit, and lies. I'm unsure what I need to do at this point. My world has been forever changed. Right now, I'm at risk of Pizzagate, which happening locally along needing protection. My daughter's safety is first priority and concern right now. Oh, Crystal Gainey. Worried about her children's protection. And then the Fed goes, does she realize her name is on this email? But, Bitcoin, that's what Epstein used to track people, some spyware associated. I wonder if that's how he was sending his money. So if he was one of the founders of Bitcoin, he probably had unlimited Bitcoin. The first purchase with Bitcoin was 10,000 Bitcoin for pizza. It makes me wonder and makes me go, And when this all comes out, will the market dive or not? Epstein's probably sipping on margaritas with Osama bin Laden at an island somewhere. Or in Israel. Or in Mexico. Who knows? But you guys don't think this is interesting? You guys don't think this is weird? That's some crazy insight. Like we say, you'll hear it here first on the Rundown Live. What do we got in the chat? You guys, I see some of you dropping some comments in the chat. Yeah, Trevor Moore is the person that we were talking about with his song, which we'll play at the end of this program called Help Me, and you guys can check that out. But if you don't think this is crazy and interesting, I don't know what to tell you. That's interesting. Interesting. Here, who is Jacqueline Petty? I want to know who Jacqueline Petty is. Somebody do some research with me. Help me find out who Jacqueline... I keep getting African-American ladies. Porn star Janae torturing bondage slave. Sent by Jacqueline Petty, a female. She's like, oh, you like torture? I got the video for you. It's Janae torturing a bondage slave. Somebody that likes to be tortured. And you know what? You know what's sad is all these women that were brought up in this trafficking style ring. Imagine the head case of having to meet one of these people. They're always scared that there's some MKUltra program coming to cause chaos in their life or to expose them or follow them or track them? Well, why not when they're just using some spyware on Bitcoin because that's how they're purchasing everything? And if that's true, obviously this might be how Epstein was getting his torture videos. I wonder how many references there are. How many references there are to Bitcoin in these Epstein files? Because the fact that Epstein used Bitcoin spyware to monitor his victims of trafficking rings is just wild to me, and I'm not quite sure how that will all work. Not sure at all, but I think that's pretty interesting of what I found in the Epstein files last night. Between that and the vampires and everything else, you guys can follow me. Oh, by the way, I was #1 on Band.video, home to Alex Jones. We were rocking it yesterday. Had like 2 of the top 3 videos on the platform, Band.video. If you've never we publish our stuff on there as well. We've gotten over 40,000 views. It's one of the places we're always hot. People love what we talk about. But I want to get back. I digress. Other interesting news this weekend, other than bombing Iran, right? 'Cause Jim Carrey's clone. Is Jim Carrey a clone? Is Britney Spears a clone? The answer is we don't know. They could be. They could not be. I don't know. Jim Carrey has become a commie. I know that. He was like into communism. He had that hot wife. What was her name? Jenny McCarthy. I used to crush on her hardcore back in the day on The Grind. Is that MTV when they stopped playing music and they all started dancing on inanimate objects like 40 feet in the air? I don't know why you watched it as a kid, but I was a red-blooded male, and I was like, oh, she is hot. I used to like her. I used to have a crush on her. Kids will be kids. But interesting story that I want to talk about in the New York Times. And basically, the New York Times has broken down that elite doctors served Jeffrey Epstein and were treating his girls. And so some of the topics I'm hearing and stories I'm hearing on this subject is that they're like pulling teeth. Like if the girl maybe bit Donald Trump's little sausage there, his knockverse, maybe Epstein was like, oh, I had her teeth pulled out. Because Epstein is because he said Trump is the worst. A small stable of doctors gave VIP medical services to the sex offender and the women around them. Some doctors bent or broke the ethical rules of their profession. Money talks. Epstein's like, oh, just money will buy you anything. Some kind of evil laugh. I'm sure I don't even know. A plastic surgeon from Mount Sinai, which is interesting. Mount Sinai, you know where sin is? AI means mountain, and sin is moon. Sin, Sinai, moon mountain, the moon god mountain. Yeah, the mountain of the moon. Moses with the Mount Sinai, he's pictured with horns. Closed a young woman's head. A plastic surgeon from Mount Sinai closed a young woman's head wound with 35 stitches on Epstein's dining room floor. Oh, or dining room table, excuse me. All right. Well, I mean, how did she get the stitches? And probably getting some rough TLC. Somebody hit her with the bat or so. An interest in West Palm Beach ordered a blood test for another woman, then reported the abnormal results back to Mr. Epstein. A dentist at Columbia University asked Epstein how much work he wanted done on a girl with severe tooth decay. These providers were a part of a small, stable, loyal medical specialist cultivated and rewarded by Mr. Epstein, the convicted sex offender. Well, you're a pedophile. Beto. Child diddler. Whatever you want to call him. Trash. Satan. Epstein wrote large checks for some doctors, research projects, and charity work, and he donated more than $375,000 to Mount Sinai, much of it to a breast cancer center and a hospital founded by Dr. Eva Dubin. Eva Dubin, who dated him for many years in the 1980s. Oh, it's Eva Dubin, probably the original Ghislaine Maxwell, getting the girls in so he could go and diddle them and get extortion data. I was kind of curious on to what, Grok was saying. AI is something everybody is using. And I asked Grok, what are the biggest, what's the biggest conspiracies around the Epstein files? And when Grok came back, I was like, okay, because I started using different different types of AI to kind of figure this all out. And Grok says, global elite blackmail network for control and immunity. Well, that's exactly what's going on. Even AI knows what's going on, what's happening. But there's people out there that still deny the truth. You know what's interesting? I can sit and talk to liberals now and mention that they're eating babies, and they're like, yeah, I heard. Back in the day, they'd be like, tinfoil hat. All this stuff was crazy. You're crazy if you thought there was mother modification. You were crazy if you thought that there was cameras on the street corners. They were crazy if you thought that there was black helicopters. You were crazy if you thought that 9/11 was an inside job, that the CIA killed Martin Luther King, that the CIA killed JFK, that the Titanic was sank for insurance fraud. You were crazy if you thought there was a shadow organization behind the commission of 9/11. You were crazy if you thought that there was a New World Order. You were crazy if you thought there was elitists meeting at Bilderberg and that they were doing mock child sacrifices at Bohemian Grove. You were crazy if you thought about the Trilateral Commission or the Council on Foreign Relations even existed. You were crazy if you thought there was a shadow organization called the Illuminati that made it through the 1700s and infiltrated Masonic lodges to take over our planet. You were crazy if you thought there was UFO files and that there are people being abducted. You were crazy. All these things, just all in the Epstein files, just basically. So could this be the ultimate MKUltra dupe dump? What do you mean, Kriston? Well, so there's a couple things we know. We know that Epstein was involved in the creation of the forum that spawned QAnon. We know that they dripped what the reality was in order to discredit any future abusers that might have reported eating babies and adrenochrome and all the things that are really happening. How do you be exonerated or without being questioned? You make it so fanatic, so crazy that no one could even believe it happened. If I called the cops and I said that there was adrenochrome being harvested, the cops wouldn't show up. But now, after reading these Epstein files, there's people going, well, you don't know, and it's a little weird. It's a little weird. They would have laughed at y'all. In other interesting news, I want to talk about with this Grok thing. They said, Grok says, this is arguably the core conspiracy interpreted from the files. Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly ran a honeypot operation to entrap politicians, billionaires, royals, and influencers in compromising situations, often involving underage girls, to extract favors and silence and influence. Well, who paid Epstein? Well, it's the Federal Reserve. It's the people at the Fed and the Fed and the Fed. That is the real enemy. At the end of the day, the Federal Reserve was potentially bankrolling Jeffrey Epstein, according to the email where he's using Bitcoin to spying people. The files include flight logs, emails, and photos showing repeated interactions with figures like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrews, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and others, all the stars. But most mentions are social or business related without explicit criminal evidence. However, unredacted portions detail victim testimonies and coercion and abuse and implications and intelligence ties. Oh, yeah, the ties are the Federal Reserve. Why was Epstein getting his money from the Federal Reserve? You know who funded the Rockefellers? You know who Jacob Schiff is? Do you know who Shifty Schiff is? Jacob Schiff, his right-hand man, Colonel Mandelhouse, who wrote Philip Drew Administrator, that discussed that there's nothing that make people beg for peace like war, and that's how you establish a League of Nations, a United Nations, and a New World Order. You just have a war so terrible. So you start a war in Iran because it's all coming out that all these weird individuals that are elitists are eating babies and having hunting parties of small children on islands, and they're just doing whatever they are. They're acting as if they are gods without any accountability in their life. And for the first time ever, they're shaking in their boots because they're hearing what's going on. So you start a fucking war in Iran because you hope the news cycle covers it up while you go after anyone that's talking about it. You want to talk about censorship? Look at how much the Epstein files has disappeared in the last 24 hours. You can't even get a reel. You can't even get a TikTok image of it. No, you can't. Doesn't pop up. It's like the censorship beast is back. I mean, you had Zuckerberg allegedly in some photos, potentially at meetings with Epstein. I'm just saying it's a little weird. It's incredibly weird, not just a little weird. So they're going to go after all the reporters. You're going to hear some of your favorites say, die down. What is not Bedondi, but Bongino? Dude needs to lay off the testosterone. He sounds like he's doing cocaine every day and he's doing his show. You ever listen to Bongino? And Candace Owens, man, she loved Charlie, I think, more than his wife did. Holy cow, she's invested in finding out what happened to Charlie Kirk. Invested. And I can't say that I disagree with some of the things she says. Some of the stuff is batshit crazy. When you're passionate and you're in love, you want to believe anything. And I don't mean in a negative way, in a brotherly love, in a sisterly love. When you're somebody that meant a lot, you spent a lot of time, you're besties with, you want to know what happened. When your parent died because they got poor treatment during COVID, they got put on a respirator, you want to sue, you want to investigate, you want to spend all your time. If it was your child, you want to spend all your time in finding out the truth. And yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but I think Candace is onto something sometimes. No, Erica Kirk, she seems a little weird to me. Seems like a Red Sparrow project. There's mention of her in the Epstein files, allegedly. Was she just a honeypot? Probably. That's how they do it. They get some girl that's MKUltra trauma bond, been abused as a kid. They train her as an adult film star, and then she's your wifey until one day she gets that fucking phone call that says J91742F3. This is Sparrow Red. Activate assassin mode, and then she kills them or has somebody killed, or they send somebody to kill them. That's probably what happened to Trump. These people that were trying to shoot him were probably all MKUltra trauma bond subjects. Remember Reagan when he was shot? The guy forgot who he was. MKUltra. Just not a not a coincidence. 2026, they say aliens. And Christians talking Mark of the Beast. Surveillance state. The whole world is gone awry. And I should mention, not to just stop there, this story has me thinking. This story right here, I want you guys to look at this story. Why are they growing brains in a lab? I think I know why they're growing brains in the lab. So we can better understand women. I'm just kidding. Is that sexist? I'm not sure. Anyways, lab-grown brains growing more powerful. By the way, I still am waiting for the day that AI can, translate female language. It'll be like, I give up. Lab-grown brains growing more powerful. Why are they growing lab-grown brains? Lab-grown brains. They're saying they can put these on a computer chip and it can learn faster than anything else. You know why? Because this is the end result. There was a creator that created the perfect robot or the perfect human, the perfect clone, and it was called God. You get the term God from Dog, Anumis, the dog god. Does that mean he's the creator? I'm not sure who the creator is. I know that there's creator energy, there's Christ consciousness, all this stuff. And you're like, I know who God is. Well, who is God? Let's meet him. Well, he's up in his houses, his many houses. Oh, you mean the Zodiac, the temples of the Lord? Anyways, lab-grown brains finally came onto the scene in 2013. So why are they growing smart brain cells? Because they want cyborgs. They want to implant their brains into robots. They want these robots to have human-like smarts. It's artificial super intelligence, and it's here. You just don't know it. You just don't know it. You have no idea what is going on behind the scenes. They're cloning babies. They're making artificial brains. Some of our listeners might want to get one of these lab-grown brains and implant it, But robots are going to have human brains. That's what they're trying to do. And they're going to do all these they're going to install these fake brains into robots. You're going to have Robo-fucking-Cop. So Max Lowen was on earlier, and I want to play his clip one last time. And then I want you guys to hear Help Me by Trevor Moore. Listen to this clip one last time, and I want you to know that Trevor Moore came out with this song 10 years ago that just describes everything that Max Lowen basically says to hear. And this is a MKUltra a satanic ritual abuse survivor, because for those Satanists that says there is no satanic ritual abuse. Hell yeah, there is.
Some of the rituals, it's called SRA. I don't want to say the actual words. Involved taking me out to different parties. Some were in very beautiful mansions, so they would be kind of black tie balls, if you ever saw Eyes Wide Shut, that kind of thing, except what they didn't show in the movie is the children that were brought in as party favors. Sometimes they would be on grounds at these different beautiful mansions where there were woods, and they were hunting parties, so we would be dressed up in certain costumes or naked or something and sent to hide and then be hunted. There would always be a child or maybe more than one unalived at the end of this. And actually, these people, I have seen cooked babies brought out on platters. They do eat human flesh. They do drink human blood. And sometimes the rituals would also be outdoors. So there would be like a gang violation ritual with a bonfire where I was drugged so that I was fully conscious but couldn't move my body.
Angels Trumpets, here it is. Trevor Moore, Help Me. I want you guys to hear the lyrics and follow along. Everything she just said was basically written in a song by Trevor Moore.
I may be a little kid, but I have been around. Can hear the girls all scream soon as our wheels touch down. Junkets in Tokyo, fashion shoots in Milan, then a private jet to Madison Square Garden. 36-week-long tours, 10 singles on the charts. So hear my message, girl, 'cause it comes from the heart. Help me, my parents sold me to a big producer in the record industry. He makes me do things that I don't want to do. Please call child services or maybe SVU. You gotta help me. My parents sold me to a big producer in the music industry. They took the cash and left me to these screaming masses. If I'd known all this, I'd skip those dancing classes. I tried to run away one time in Belarus. They beat me with phone books so that I wouldn't bruise. I just can't take no more rich kids' bar mitzvahs or paid sleepovers with Saudi princes. Blinked SOS and Morse code once at the VMAs. They sprayed me with a hose in a pit for 3 days. And when my sales drop off, they'll take me to a resort and let rich businessmen hunt me down for sport.
Hold up, I'm just coming in on the song to check on what y'all talking about. Don't think of me as a record exec, but a father figure and pal. This kid's a real prankster, this is one of his practical jokes. Thank you for your concern, but there's nothing to see here, folks. That's just exhaustion talking, poor little guy's tuckered out. I'll take him back to the tour bus and we'll get him straightened out. There is no box, I don't even know what that means. Now we gotta run, but for your trouble, here's some front row seats.
Gotta help me, my parents sold me
Could I get a little help here?
producer
We've got a coat on.
industry.
We're sorry, he's very tired. Life on the road.
This
He
didn't
can quit
work
whenever he
out
wants.
for Michael Jackson.
Thank you.
Someone help me. Don't ignore what I said. They'll sacrifice me.
He'd like to thank all of you for your support. The new album drops on the 22nd.
That was Trevor Moore with Help Me. That was written probably like 12 years ago 13 years ago. Trevor Moore is a very interesting individual, somebody I was blessed to meet in my lifetime in person. Very interesting individual on the list. How prophetic was that song, you guys? Thank you so much today for tuning in. Drop some comments in the chat. I'm going to go over some comments right now, so if you're there, leave them in the chat. Here we go. We're going to see what you guys have to say. We got Mark in the chat. What's going on, Mark? How you doing, brother? I see you there. I got Night Dragon. Could be. Who knows? They laughed at Joe Rogan about falling off a building, swinging a shovel at a drone. You got to follow me. You got to follow from me. Keep spreading the news and keep posting that you're not suicidal. Everyone knows. Night Dragon mentioned Trevor Moore. Let's see here. Well, we got 3 minutes left for all the people in the chat. I have something very special. Maybe I could show you guys. Let me see if I can dig it up. Who was I talking to? Was it Ryder Lee? Ryder Lee and I were having a conversation about how much he liked The Whitest Kids You Know, which is the like Kids in the Hall-esque type sitcom that, good old Trevor Moore was part of. And it was very interesting to me. We're going to go ahead and see this. It's interesting to me that, like, I got a chance to meet this person. We clicked right away. He wanted to hang out after the event. And then, all of a sudden he dies mysteriously after talking about all this interesting stuff. It's all interesting. But here you guys go. This is my proof that I'm not lying to you about my knowledge of Trevor Moore. And here is yours truly kicking it with Trevor Moore. Just wanted to prove to you guys I'm not a goofball. I'm not like just trying to make things up to get your attention. Oh, look at who's that? There's Trevor. There's Timmy. Timmy, we've had on the show. Check out the Rundown Live. Hey, by the way, the Rundown Live app is being updated. You can get a lot of our past episodes. Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you can't do video and you want to listen to Rundown Live, share it with your friends. Tell your friends to tune in. Punch the follow button. We're on Rumble. We're on Facebook. GroundZeroPlus.com. We're on a bunch of platforms. We are on so many platforms. Oh, there it is. You see my Ron Paul shirt? I don't know if you guys know those guys. You guys know these guys? That was Trevor Moore. Way back in the day. Came to Milwaukee, we talked, gave him some Illuminati cards. He wanted to hang out afterwards. I had a date and she's like, I want to go home. And I'm like, I want to hang out with Trevor Moore, and so, I should have went on my own. It was a good date, had a good night, but nonetheless, could have kicked it with these guys. I made Timmy Williams a burger once upon a time, as you guys can see him right here in this photograph. That being said, guys, tomorrow we have guests this week. Who's joining us? Drew Arnold will be joining us this week. Beyonce and Kanye West's CGI creator. We're going to talk about Peter Thiel and the gay mafia. Not going to lie. He funded large amount of the Liberty Movement. The Jewish gay mafia is what he's calling it. And you can see all the ties and way they're funding and really pushing, one way or another. And they're trying to control the resistance. That's what it is. At the end of the day, this is all controlled resistance. That's what Epstein's idea of creating QAnon was. Controlled resistance. That's what this wit drop is about. Controlled resistance. Knowing what's going to happen and then telling you what's going to happen and then doing it. Ritualistic magic. That being said, if you guys want to support me, I need your help. We are 100% listener funded. Drop me some, buy me a coffee, scan this image. There's links below in the video description. Venmo, 100% listener funded. We don't sell you shit, although we do everyday dose mushroom coffee. You can find that on therundownlive.com. But we are 100% listener funded. Drop me a, 2 or a 5. The money goes towards keeping this broadcast going daily. We've been around for 15 years and we are funded by you guys. You guys stay blessed. Have a good night. I'm Kriston T. Harris. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, what's that? A Nightscope K5. A what? A Nightscope K5. It's a 300-pound police robot that looks like R2-D2 that can detect abnormal noise and temperature change or known criminals. It will alert local authorities. Malls, sporting arenas, communities everywhere is getting robots. No way. It kinda looks like a Dalek from Doctor Who. The all-seeing mobile robots will wirelessly connect to a centralized data server, where authorities will have access to big data, making it possible to recognize faces, license plates, and other suspicious anomalies. Big data. Your Facebook, Tinder, conversations, banking history, credit purchase history. That sounds like a Dalek to me. Have you ever heard of Stingray technology or Hailstorm? No. Boy, you need to tune into Kriston T. Harris. That's how I feed my brain.
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not